Welcome to the new sound of online radio. Welcome to the sound of Universal Broadcasting Network. 'Cause you make me feel like I've been locked out of heaven. A mix of today's hits and hard-to-find favorites, combined with the most entertaining and intriguing talk anywhere. This is your sound. This is the sound of Universal Broadcasting Network at uenradio.com.
And good afternoon, everyone. You have joined Distill at a 360-degree view of life and sports. I'm Wendy Rosenthal. I'm here with my wonderful, amazing partner, Eira Switzer.
Hello, everyone. Welcome.
We have been on holiday for the last, sorry about that. We've been on holiday for the last 3 weeks. We've missed you all terribly, but we're back, and we're back with a force of many people in the studio with us today who we are going to get to in just a moment. But first, as we do every week, we want to say hello to our engineer. He doesn't have a mic. That's a good excuse. Jarvis.
But he's here. That's
But
all
he's
that matters.
here.
He's
Jarvis,
here and
our
he's taking
security,
care of us.
A security blanket extraordinary who's taking care of us. You'll see him in the background as he puts pictures of all of us up, and we appreciate him all the time. And we're here at the UBN network. A place we like to call our third or fourth home, something like that. And we're very grateful to be here. Today, we are going to be talking about something that is very near and dear to our hearts, and that is the home athlete, of which we are. We are both home athletes. You know, I looked up that word as Googled it.
Right.
And it actually doesn't exist.
No, it doesn't. I was talking to people like home athletes, so tell me exactly what that is. You know, like you and me, we're home athletes.
So I think we basically coined a new phrase.
Yeah.
Because when I Googled home athlete, you know what I got?
What'd you get?
Remedies for athlete's foot.
That's awesome.
I kid you not. That's
awesome.
I was a little embarrassed by the fact that we used home athlete, but I think we should coin it and own it. And so now everybody in the studio, including Jarvis, is going to start to use it.
Done.
But what do we mean by home athlete is those of us who take our fitness seriously at home. Right. And we do it either in the gym. We're not professionals. We're not even amateurs because we're not out there maybe playing on any kind of team, but we are.
And many of us aren't even competing on any level.
Exactly.
Except against ourselves.
Exactly.
Yep.
And that's what the definition of a home athlete is. And that's what we wanted to talk about. And we wanted to make this a roundtable discussion because we are very lucky to have good friends and a new friend who take their home athletics very seriously. I'm going to introduce them in a minute, but I have Lisa, Gia, and Duane with me, and you'll get to know them a little bit more. So thank you, everyone, for being here. We really want to hear your thoughts, particularly because many of you out there, I hope, are exercising and trying to lead a healthier lifestyle. So if you are interested in either calling in and talking to us, the call-in number is 323-284-7826, or we're on Facebook Live, and we do take your comments through there. I try and take a look every now and then to see if there are any comments, so please feel free to jump in, ask questions, and we really want to hear from you. So two things that we do on every show is we talk about some of the items in the sport world that intrigued us or made us happy.
Yep.
So let's jump right in. What are we going to talk about today?
Let's talk about college football for a second. Let's talk about the big USC Texas game.
The only game that actually mattered. I know there are
Exactly.
many of you college football fans out there who actually might like something else, but no.
Yeah.
USC UT.
27-24. Was it the final score?
Yeah. It was a
double overtime, and everything that could possibly happen in football happened that day.
Everything that could possibly happen that day happened.
Yeah.
I think you need to spend 30 seconds telling your incredible miracle story because it was a miracle that USC won.
It wasn't. It was a miracle that USC won. It was a miracle that I got in because tickets were, they weren't easy to come by, and I got tickets in the Texas section. So I'm not just off in the corner of the stadium.
Literally, they do not treat their visitors well.
They don't
at the
treat them well.
Coliseum.
Or maybe it was just a Texas thing, but they had like a sliver of the stadium for seating, and I'm way up in nosebleed seats, and I'm sitting there with a friend that joined me for the day, and all of a sudden this guy comes up to me, and he says, he's looking at my baseball cap, he says, "So what class?" I said, "Class of 98. He says, "Do you really think your university is going to let you sit here amongst a bunch of Texans?" I said, Clearly not. And he gives me 2 tickets. He says, go move. I said, okay. So my friend and I get up, we start walking, and we realize we start to get closer and closer and closer. Next thing we were in section 6 of the Coliseum, which is on the 45-yard line. We've got the best seats in the house, and that's where we sat and enjoyed the entire game, which was a wild game.
Which was a wild game. And I got to tell you, when you came over and told us that that's where you're sitting, I was so happy for you.
Yeah.
Literally. I thought that was the best part of the whole day.
It was the
that you got moved.
best thing. Yeah. What a treat. 'Cause I was just happy to be there. I would have sat anywhere. Happy to be anywhere.
But the reason I thought it was a great game is it really shows what a good rivalry will do. I mean, Texas was absolutely pegged to lose by a lot.
Sure.
I don't know what the final line was, but it was big.
Yeah.
And, you know, the kids that were playing in the game were like 6 and 7 the last time UT and USC met for the national championship game. But the power of the rivalry and the kind of the legend of that game, you could see was riding on every kid's shoulder that was out there.
Everyone, absolutely.
And
talk about being able to really rise to the occasion and work under pressure, because these kids were incredible on the field. I mean, to be able to go, the first half was practically scoreless until the very end.
Yeah.
And to be able to come back from where they were, I thought was just
and to
wild.
hang in there to the very
there.
end and never give up. Neither team gave up. I mean, it was a truly fantastic game to watch.
Remarkable.
Forget the the loyalty that we might have.
Yeah.
The loyalty to my husband, who is a UT alum, and my father, who was there, who was a UT alum.
Yeah.
My father, who bought me the tickets.
Yeah.
Like he was rooting against my team. It was incredible. It was really special. And the second thing we wanted to talk about is, and it's in every newspaper and everything that's going on right now in sports, and that is the
revamped discussion.
The revamped discussion of protesting something you feel passionately about and doing it in a way that people either get behind or they don't. And clearly the president of the United States, without bringing any politics into it or how we feel personally about him, has stepped into this conversation in a very major way. Yeah. And it's been very disconcerting. And I think as a fan personally, it's troubled me, because I feel like it's so much taking away from the enjoyment of the sport, and it's putting me personally, like, and Jarvis even knows this, because we've done a show on this topic on social justice. It's like, while I can agree on many levels what people are standing up for, how they're doing it is troublesome to me. So it really, as a fan, has been very stressful, I think.
Yeah, absolutely. So speaking of that, next week, Tuesday, 3 p.m., we'll be going back to the topic.
Yeah, we want to revisit it,
because this has really been a hot issue.
And I think we really want to look at it specifically, and also look at it from the fans' point of view,
perspective,
and not really about the politics of whether you believe or not. But we're happy to talk about that. But
but can you separate your love for the game and being able to really sit and enjoy a game, knowing that this is really getting under your skin and pushing some buttons that are...
Because I have some friends that are fans of the NFL who literally want to stop watching it because they're outraged that the players are not standing for the national anthem.
Right.
I mean, and who suffers?
Yeah.
The fans.
Yeah, exactly.
Right. And then lastly, before we get to our guests...
You can explain why we must be recording out of 2 different studios, because I'm dressed like this and you are not. So... Tell us why you're so cool today.
I'm taking heat, literally, for my choice.
Not enough heat.
Clearly not. For my choice in what I'm wearing today. I'm wearing this hat because every show I wear a different hat, and I try and wear a hat that is related to what our topic is. And this week, our topic is the home athlete, and this is what I wear when I go out for a run.
No matter the weather.
No, in the summer, I do not wear this. Because it's like it's burning hot, and I sweat enough as it is.
Yeah. Okay.
But like on a morning like this morning, I will.
Yeah.
Because I need to feel happy and comfy when I run. So
and we want you to be happy and comfy now.
Do you know what I do for the show? This cannot be a great look on me, by the way. I just want you to know what I love doing this show, and I love my hat.
What a sacrifice! You're
it's
a good
big
woman.
Sacrifice. Anyway, so. Now we can jump into the topic.
Yes,
I want to introduce our wonderful guests who've taken the time out of their day to come sit with us in studio. A couple of them we know very well. They're good friends, but we wanted them to be here because of their dedication, passion, and how they spread their joy of being a home athlete to their friends as well. Lisa Kessler is who I'm going to introduce first. I'm going to have you say a couple, maybe a minute about who you are and why you're passionate about sports.
I'm a mom of 6, and I started running in high school. And when I was running in high school, they had no girls track team, believe it or not. So myself and 5 other women petitioned, and we started the first girls track team at South Pasadena High School.
I love it.
Class
That's
of
awesome.
1975.
Yeah.
Yeah. And I just continued to run, and I ran in college, and I continued with running, and then eventually over the years I progressed into triathlons, weights, boxing. Just really, it's about the cross training now after all these years. But that's it. It's part of my life. You get up, you brush your teeth, you go for a run, you just get out there.
Yeah.
And Lisa's a lot like Eira in that she is, I don't want to say machine or beast or whatever, but I aspire to be these two. I'm lucky if I get out, 3 days, maybe 4 if I'm really pushing it a week. So. I don't want to say whoa. We have a little technical fun feedback. That was fun. Sorry. No worry. So thank you for that. Our next guest, Gia Gallo, who is also a friend of ours. Hi, Gia.
Hi. So if I were to introduce myself, it would be, in my mind, I am an Olympic athlete. I have won all the gold medals. In reality, I only train for the Olympics, but I've never actually been in them.
But someday.
She's interesting.
Someday.
Yes, I find exercise is it's like beyond physical.
Yeah.
It's pure joy for me. It's like a connection between the mind and the body, and it's something I've always loved and been passionate about.
And so here you are.
Yes.
We'll have to chat about it for the next 40 minutes or so.
Now, I wanted to, before we move on to our next guest, just to say hi to a few friends of ours who are on Facebook. Betsy Davis, thanks for tuning in. Leah Gillis, all the way from Paris, has
love
tuned in.
it.
And it's quite late there, so we're very happy to hear that you're there. Eliyahu Gian, thank you so much for tuning in. We'd love to hear your comments. Our next guest is a new friend of ours, Duane Bell. And Duane,
Hello.
will you give us a few? Oh God, you have the best Barry White voice ever. We might let you talk just to hear your voice.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
Please tell us a little bit about yourself.
39 years old. Currently teach boxing in the Valley. Was referred to you guys by Pepe. Shout out to Pepe.
Yay, Pepe Riley, Wildcard Boxing owns
Yes.
Box by Pep, and I've been training with him for 12 years, and he was amazing to put us in
12?
touch. 12 years I've been
Wow.
with Pepe, yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. And he put us in touch, so I'm
What's
very
the name of
grateful
your
to Pepe.
studio?
Beatbox 818. You can find me on Instagram and Facebook, Beatbox 818, Beatbox Fitness.
Yep.
And in the evening, he does jazz concerts.
Open air concerts in the parks.
We wanted to invite Duane into this conversation because the four of us, we could sit and talk for hours, but we really wanted a trainer's perspective. So we really would love for you to jump in because, I'm somebody who pretty much does all of my training at home, working out at home, but you guys are in various different stages of working with trainers, and I think it's really important that from a trainer's perspective, what can you share about how to make sure we're doing everything that we need to be doing as a home athlete, whether we're in the gym or out of the gym? So please make sure.
Domestic athletics.
Yes.
Oh, that's
I like
another
that.
new phrase.
Oh.
Domestic
It's
athletics.
That's nice.
It's yours.
Trademark.
It's yours.
It's
Go ahead.
ours.
Take
Thank
it.
you so much.
Have fun with
I
it.
love it.
We have taken it. We're going to have a lot of fun with that.
So I just want to kick off the discussion with the idea of, there's many things that you have to consider as a home athlete or a domestic athlete, which I love. Sorry. Things like safety, how to know when your body is not being pushed enough and when it's being pushed too much.
Yeah. The difference between soreness and pain because of injury or...
Right. And the fact that your body can do more than you think it can. But when you're on, it's funny, maybe I'll start it off with that because, I'm always, when I'm out running, I'm a runner, and I'm always pushing myself in my head, take one more step, do not even a half mile more, just do a little bit more every time I go out. And I sometimes don't think I can do it.
Right.
And we know that oftentimes when you're with a trainer will push you, or Lisa, you and I haven't had a chance to run. I'm a slow runner, so I sometimes don't want to run with people because I'm afraid I won't be able to keep up. But I know when I actually am shocked that I can often keep up. So what do you guys feel about that? Like, how do you push yourselves, whether you're in the gym or as a trainer? How do you know when to push somebody beyond what they think they can do?
You want me to go?
Please.
Okay. When you're at home and you're doing it in the comfort of your own home, safety is a concern. And like you said, not pushing yourself enough or pushing yourself too hard. I tell anyone and everyone, even if I'm there with you, if it doesn't feel comfortable, then don't do it. Now, that doesn't mean give yourself an excuse to, not push yourself hard. But I also tell people that if you don't feel comfortable, just outside of your comfort zone is okay. And there is a difference between soreness and strain. I always ask people, I constantly, how do you feel?
Right.
Especially after, a set of, depending on the workout, if it's something new they've never done before, it's always, how do you feel? How do you feel after that? Do you feel it in the areas that it's supposed to work you? If we're doing cardio, we're checking your pulse. I ask my people to wear their heart rate monitors so we know where their target heart rate is. But it's always, how do you feel? And if you know where your comfort zone is, then step out of it a little bit so you are uncomfortable, but not to the point where you're going to panic. And I think that's an important thing. And I think it's just trial and error. As a trainer, you just have to push someone, see what they're willing to do, how far they're willing to go, and then make sure that it's within a safe zone, that it's just outside the comfort zone, but not far enough that they're like, oh my God.
So how do you even establish what that comfort zone is? I mean, if you aren't experienced and you haven't particularly done a whole lot of working out and you want to sort of get up and out and start something, what do you suggest to people who really are starting from scratch?
If you're starting from scratch, I think that the best thing to do is start with a simple set of exercises to see what your limit is.
Yeah.
So typically, in the industry, we have a fitness evaluation that people do.
Sure.
You come in and you say, okay, well, how many push-ups can you do in 30 seconds? How many squats can you do in 30 seconds? Yeah. If we put you on the wall and do a wall sit, how long can you do that before you give out? You absolutely can do it.
Yeah.
And what I do with my clients is I typically track them. So they come in the first day and I'll give you 30 seconds, do as many push-ups as you can. Push yourself.
Yeah.
Don't just give up because you think that you need to give up.
Mm-hmm.
Once it starts to hurt a little bit, go a little more.
Yeah.
And then, 3 weeks down the line, 4 weeks down the line, we do it again. And to me, it's about progression. I always preach progression. You never just run into something, especially if you've never done it before, and go full out.
Right.
And I think that that's a huge trend, and I think that's the reason why some industry trends are getting bad names, because people don't take the time with progression.
Right.
And I think that's super important. Super important.
So Lisa and Gia, how do you guys measure where you're at if you're not working with one-on-one with a trainer, which you are in some cases, maybe not in others? What do you guys think?
And you know what? I think it's there's not a one box fits all. I think what you were saying is true, that you need to take it. It's a progression. But I think you also need to know your own body. Like, you really, really need to listen to your body. And they say that athletes have the best pulse on how they're feeling. Like, when you're getting sick, like you'll know even a week before.
Absolutely.
And you can nip it in the bud. And I think the pushing part, I think that we all have like limits that we'll push ourselves to, and Eira and I are maybe way over the top on the type A.
Can you please tell people what you do walking around with a 40-pound vest on you?
Yeah,
all the time?
today I did 3 hours 40-pound vest, weighted vest, 3-hour power walk.
Duane is like, what?
She does that when she goes to the grocery store too.
It's quite a minute. We laugh at it, but the truth is like, that's,
She can do
you can do it.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like,
Do they have a 5-pound vest, by the way, that I could start with?
They do.
Well, I can take the weights out.
Yeah.
Well,
Yeah.
she's also been pregnant with triplets and twins, so I'd like to say she's got years of experience walking around with a huge weight.
I heard 6 kids and my
Strapped to
jaw
her
dropped.
back.
Yeah.
I know, right?
Congratulations.
Thank you.
What about you, Gia?
I feel like if I'm not dying, it's not worth it.
It's so true. I've worked out with her. That is literally what she says to me. If I am not dying, this does not feel like it was worth my time.
No, but
she's got this incredible mindset about what it has to be.
No, but that's really super interesting, because I'll tell you, I'm not anywhere near that, but I do know if I don't feel like I've hit something, a wall that I haven't broken through, then I feel like I haven't done enough. And
Right.
sometimes I wonder if the wall I'm trying to break through is, like I, as a runner, I worry about my knees. I want to continue to run. And so like but I know sometimes if I feel like a twinge in my knee, sometimes it's my IT band pulling, and if I just let it warm up. So
But I think that's different. That's more because I'm very conscious of form, and especially since I had knee surgery, I'm very conscious of not wanting to obviously injure myself.
Yeah.
But for me, it's more of a mental thing. I can feel when there's pain. Obviously, I need to readjust or stop or whatnot. But for me, most of it is just, I love the mental aspect of it.
Yeah.
yeah.
I feel like, I don't know.
Yeah.
It's like, I feel so connected to myself. And it shows me over and over that I can go so much farther than I thought I could
Yeah.
mentally,
Yeah.
irregardless for everyone, irregardless if they're beginners or however advanced someone is. It's like within that power of like being able to push yourself beyond what you think is possible.
And that's, I think, the beauty of sports is to be able to see that, it's a physical reminder of what we can do with ourselves spiritually, psychologically, emotionally. It shows us just how incredibly resilient we are and what we can do if we just train ourselves. And it's a good reminder that we've got an amazing muscle memory.
Right.
I mean, one of the things I tell my friends who really, sometimes they can't make it to the gym and they beat themselves up for it. And I say, we've got incredible muscle memory. And
So
sometimes
true.
it's just good enough to go out and walk for 20 minutes. Just to get up and move and do something. And you don't have to, because the alternative for some is if I can't get out to the gym for a 2-hour work that kills me, I'm not going to do anything. It's just not worth it. But the reality is that you can do something.
Yeah.
10, 20,
And
50
it's
That's my
different for
mantra, by the way.
everyone.
That's
Yeah.
yeah.
Sorry, I was just going to say, Eira plays in my head every day. Like, just get up, and even if I'm
I
not
live in
feeling
there.
like going for many reasons.
For many reasons I live in there.
Like it's okay. Let's just get up and walk. Even
Yeah.
if I walk home from my office, or if I, go outside and play with my son, do something.
Exactly.
Before we continue, though, there's some shout outs from your friends. I just wanted to say Barbara Forsey
okay.
and
Yes.
Sam. Say
Sam,
hi.
okay.
Say hi.
Sam's one of my clients.
And thanks to Danny Durkin and Richard LaForge and some friends also from England also watching. So hi everyone in the UK. But Leah Gillis, our friend in Paris, has a question. I want to put it out to everybody.
Okay.
She says, I travel a lot and my work schedule can interfere with consistency. How do you keep your home athleting
Another new word.
or domestic athleting going when your life schedule changes for whatever reason? So how do you guys do it?
I remind myself, wherever I'm at, if I can do quick pull-ups, push-ups, sit-ups, I'm good. If I can travel with my resistance bands, I've got something that I can do. I've got a tiny portable trampoline. I can easily pack that and take it with me. Again, walking around the block, if I'm in a hotel, going out and doing the stairs up and down and forget the elevator. There's always something you can do.
Leah, I just want you to know, Eira came to one of our kids' friends' birthday party at La Cienega Park with all of her kit, and while we were all standing around eating cake, she was doing
jumping on the trampoline.
literally she was doing pull-ups.
I don't waste time. I took my kids to the party. I
She
said
was
I would
part
be
of
there
the
with
party
them,
entertainment.
but I'm not wasting time. So they can sit there and hang out and do what they're going to do. What I was over there doing
would've
pull-ups, and I
done
had
the
my
same
resistance
thing.
bands, and I was
Yeah.
doing
We
my
don't
squats.
hire
and
clowns. We hire
we
Eira to do exercise.
I think more people should do that. You should have. I would. If I had kids, instead of having that pizza party, birthday party every year, I'd probably put them. I would. I'd be like, all right, listen, guys, we're gonna do some boxing today. We're gonna, have that experience where you get them active. I think it should be more like that. For kids
I
these
gotta
days.
gotta
tell you,
have
she
to
put-
work it off first.
Yeah.
She put all the rest of the moms and dads to shame. We were all like, oh my God.
I think it's
But it was very
important.
inspiring.
It
It was
was.
very inspiring.
That's very sweet.
There's also, there are also so many videos on YouTube and
Yes.
things that you carry around with you
There's
when
so
you travel.
many streaming apps now, amazing, different ones that I love.
There's a
It's so easy to work out.
There's a young lady called Kaisa Fit who I follow on Instagram. I've been following her for a while, and she's become really big over the last 6 months to a year. But my client Sam, who's listening probably, will tell you that we've been following her for a while, and one of her philosophies is just move.
Yeah.
Just move. It doesn't mean that you have to have a full gym. I mean, she has unbelievable amounts of content on her Instagram
Sure.
where she's in a hotel room with her suitcase.
That's great.
Yeah.
She throws stuff on her suitcase. She
Yeah.
does up downs, and she does stuff on her bed, and
Exactly.
you know, in the airport on the chairs. There's
Or
so
she just
many
rolls
options.
the suitcase up and down the stairs.
There's a lot. I mean, listen.
so
Sometimes
much.
you can't get to I Love Kickboxing, so you have to you have to find a way
Yeah.
to supplement your exercise.
You have to. It's so important.
So one of our watchers, Cecilia Whalen, thank you for watching. She asks, can a person with arthritis in wrists and knees still weight train? So one of the things I wanted Lisa to talk about today is we're going to give away a little bit of our age, not too much, but suffice it to say there's some of us in this room, not many, who are over 40.
Over 50.
I was trying to not talk about that, Lisa.
Do not out our guests live on air.
I didn't. She's outing others of us. Forget the guest, the host. No, but I wanted to talk about it because you are over 50 and you do have this incredible level of athleticism and conditioning and commitment. So, in answer to Cecilia's question,
I think that one of the things is the cross training, because when I started out doing marathons, running, I was beating myself up. And 6 days a week, I was putting in 80, 90 miles a week. And I just got to the point where I realized I can't keep this up. I'm not going to be doing this in my 40s, certainly not in my 50s. So that's when the cross training aspect kind of came into it. And I think that really helps. I think it's also good, genes. And, I do the cryotherapy, the deep freeze thing that I've told you about.
well, yeah,
which
and I want to get to that, by
amazing.
the way, at the end of the show.
Okay, so, but it's about the cross training, and it's a mental thing. Like Gia was talking about, if she doesn't mentally feel like she's dying, I think anybody who's run a marathon or who's done a triathlon before can attest to this. That it's completely it's 95% mental when you're hitting the 25th mile
Right.
or the 20th mile, wherever you hit the wall. I remember doing races, triathlons, and I would be running through the desert, which is the last leg of the triathlon, and I'd be looking down at my legs going, oh my God, who's moving my legs?
Yeah.
It was literally
Out-of-body.
a complete out-of-body experience. And I think that's what keeps us going.
Yeah,
you
I
know?
think variety is super
Yeah.
important, especially once you get a little bit older, and not doing the same thing over
Yes.
and over and over again.
Sure.
I have a couple of clients. Sam, as a matter of fact, she's still watching. Two of my longest clients. One's 50, and the other one's 45, and we constantly mix it up.
Yeah.
I will never give them the same exercises, within 3 months. Every day it's a different exercise.
And I find that gives you an edge.
Yeah.
About
Totally.
tricking your body. It keeps
Yes.
your body on
shock.
Exactly.
For sure.
And I
I
like
like
that
she
edge.
likes being in shock
She
all
likes
the
being in
time.
shock. But it's true. It keeps you from overworking and overstraining certain muscles, and it just keeps you constantly developing other ones. And you normally wouldn't if you stuck to one
for
program.
sure.
Duane, do you have any tips for our not a caller, our watcher who's asking specifically about with arthritis in the wrists and knees?
I think that are numerous ways to work around injuries. Arthritis, for some people, can be nagging, chronic. Sometimes it can be, periodic, where it changes sometimes with the weather.
With the weather, yeah.
Or, with diet, depending. I think for people who have an issue with arthritis, low impact resistance bands are great.
Yeah.
Body weight movements are great. Even yoga and Pilates, things with slow, gradual movements. You can still get a workout in. You can still be physical. You can still move without damaging your body.
Yeah.
I'm not a proponent of bodybuilding style-esque workouts. I believe in multi-joint compound movements. I love fluid body weight stuff over the machines or a bunch of free weights, and I think that can help with the alleviating some of the pain that can come from doing heavy workouts, and arthritis or joint pain is just gradual slow movements. Resistance bands, especially for people with arthritis, I think is a good thing.
Thank you.
Very helpful.
Thank you for that. Yeah, that's great. Just want to say hi to Candace and Richard Busby, who's in London. I have a lot of London friends who are up late.
Yeah.
I'm glad to have you.
Barbara's in Costa Rica, so.
Barbara's in Costa
She's in
Rica.
Costa
All
Rica.
right.
Nice.
Thank you for joining us. One of the things we wanted to talk about also are trends in. No, look, you see, all of a sudden, you see either a wave of
Pole dancers.
Pole dancers, yes. Hey, have you seen some of those pole dancers? That takes a lot of core muscles
listen,
to do
yes,
that.
yes.
Yeah.
That's
pole
what they
dancing
say.
Although, listen,
She wouldn't know, though.
It's an amazing workout. It is an amazing
Yeah.
workout. It's funny because
Have you tried?
The last time you pole danced.
about a year ago. We don't have time to get into my past. I spent more time in strip clubs than I'd admit to. But I was working.
It's the voice.
Only working.
You
Yeah.
probably get
Yeah.
all the girls there too.
Coming to the stage.
You were finding
No,
new
but like,
clients.
I mean, seriously, like, I've never heard of. I'm sorry, I'm not going to say it right either. Muay Thai.
Muay Thai.
Muay Thai.
Muay Thai.
Like, I've never seen those words before, and then all of a sudden in our neighborhood, I think there's like 5 new studios, and we talked about the class pass, and we talked about, you know, like where you can now go
You can do
and
Zumba, and there's rock climbing, and
Zumba.
whatever you can imagine.
There's
there is
aerial
a studio
yoga
for it.
now,
There's
I
aerial
think.
Yes.
yoga.
Really?
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah,
I think
absolutely.
everyone is always looking for. Sometimes, to me, there's a lot of gimmicks.
Right.
There's a lot of things that pop up based on the latest trend. So for me, being coming from a combat sports background, looking at the late 80s and mid 90s, it was all about action movies. It was Chuck Norris,
Yeah,
Sure.
it was
it's
Jet
true.
Li.
Sure.
So what you had, especially when those times, were karate studios, right? There was as we call them, McDojos
Yeah.
on every studio. You had Taekwondo and
Yeah.
Kempo and all these different karate studios. And then what happened, especially in the early 90s, mid 90s up to the 2000s, is MMA became popular. So once MMA became popular, now there's jiu-jitsu studios
Yeah.
everywhere. There's Muay Thai studios everywhere, which is, you know, a Thai kickboxing art. You know, boxing gyms are now more popular. Kickboxing is more popular. But the trends that people follow, you know, you still have to do your research.
Sure.
The problem is you have gyms that are come up and they're specialized, and unfortunately people will jump onto the gimmick, and it won't be beneficial to you because you could possibly put yourself in a place where you were
Right.
injured because, you know, you're training with someone who is able to raise that money and
Right.
throw up a gym, and maybe
Not
they don't have
necessarily
the
equipped
credentials
Right.
to
be
yes.
training you, sure.
Right. They might not
Sure.
have the right credentials in order
Yeah.
to.
And how do you
to
make sure
instruct.
that with all these trends that somebody has the right credentials? I would never think to walk in and say, "Hey, can I see your credentials?"
You know, it's important to do, especially for physical activities like for combat sports like boxing. You know, Pepe, you train with
Yeah.
Pepe, or kickboxing or jiu-jitsu. You can look at lineage, which is a word that we use. It's kind of like, you know, I'm studying for my NASM exam,
Yeah.
right?
Which
So
is
which is
for
the
those of us who don't know.
National Academy of Sports Medicine.
Okay.
So that's pretty much what every trainer at the big box, LA Fitness, Bally's, 24-Hour Fitness, they have that simple kind of stage 1 level of certification as a fitness trainer, right? As a boxing trainer, it's like, how do you get certified? Well, you can go to the USA Boxing Association, you get certified through them, you take a class, and they certify you, just like if you were, you know, a CrossFit level 1 trainer, you take their 2-day course, you pay
Right.
the $1,000 or whatever it is,
Yeah.
and you become certified. But sometimes you can look at a trainer and say, okay, well, this person was a former world champion boxer. You know, they're 40 years old and they've been boxing since they were 6, so
Yeah.
they probably know what they're talking about, you know, when it comes to that situation. And I think that that's an important thing to do, is you kind of have to ask around, and the internet's available, so there's no lack of information
Information.
Right.
available. And I think that becomes a very important thing, is to do
Yeah.
your research.
Yeah.
How
Look
do
into
you-
their criminal past.
Gia can get you
Run
all
a
of the
background check
websites.
on anyone.
Yeah,
If
yeah.
they ever filed for bankruptcy.
Yeah.
But Gia, you. Gia,
Wow, she's a personal. Low
Yeah.
blow, low blow. Wow.
but Gia, you go out and you try a lot of different things, right?
I love, yes. I find if I always look at form and, you know, how the trainer, if they have good form, I feel like I don't know. I can always tell who I can trust.
And you get a
based
sense
on-
for how they give you information. I mean, I've witnessed some people where it's kind of like, you know, I'm sorry, my knee hurts. Is that okay? Oh yeah, that's normal. Just keep going. You know,
Right,
whereas
right.
if they're not taking the time to stop you and say, you know what, you have to adjust this. You've got to tweak this. If they aren't actively giving you information,
Form is number
you know,
one to
it's
me.
crucial.
because
That should be numbered
So
down
you
everywhere.
learn so much about how much information they're really giving you. You learn so much about
Mm-hmm.
them and how trained they are. You know,
Yeah.
to be doing the kind of
And I always find, I don't know, if I can do better than the trainer, then there's probably a problem.
And that happens all the time,
if
right?
the class is no longer paying attention to the trainer, they've now focused all of their energy on you, it says something.
But
it makes a
that's a
statement.
very important thing, especially since we're talking about people who are training at home.
Yeah.
When you're training at home, use content that seems to be vetted, right?
Oh, so like me, if I decided I wanted to, do a workout session in Pilates or not yoga or something,
Right.
make sure what I'm looking at has some credential around it.
Exactly.
Okay.
Even if you don't train with a person one-on-one, you never meet them. You can go online and you can look up someone and say, you go to YouTube and look up a video of a person or an instructor or a school or quote unquote method, and then research that method or that school or that instructor who's giving that online, that course that you're following to find out, how valid their information is. I think that's very important. I think as a trainer, seeing people do things, like you said, making sure that their form is correct, I'm huge on that.
Yeah.
And it's kind of aggravating if you're a trainer and you're in the surroundings with another trainer and you see them instructing someone, but they're not really instructing someone. I was explaining to someone the other day, it's like, listen, I don't want to take your money. It's pointless. So if you're not going to do it right, we're not going to be able to really work together.
Right.
And I also explain to people that I'm looking for a year because it's going to take me, especially if you're new starting off, it's going to take you 3 to 6 months just to understand what we're doing before you start to really be able to do what you should be doing.
Right.
So you have to progress. You have to start at one place and then, okay, well, we've done this movement. Now we're going to add this movement to it. And you should feel it in a different way. But we're going to do this movement and we're going to make sure that this is something as simple as squatting.
Yeah.
You would never believe how many people come in and they squat and their heels come off the ground or their knees jut out in front of their toes. And it's like, oh, my knees hurt every time I squat. And it's like, okay, well, let me see you squat. Do 5 for me. And then you watch it and you go, okay.
Yeah.
So that's a big point I want to bring up. I just also want to say that your friend Christine is watching, and she says you are awesome and you're always bringing something new. So
Christine is beastly.
I have a question. How many clients have cussed at you for pushing them too hard?
that's a great question.
Has Christine ever?
It's funny. Sam and Christine, I have to say that they're kind of.
They do
I
it
can't.
under their breath.
No, you know what? They never cuss at me. I can't use them as testers anymore, right?
Yeah.
They've been with me so long
Sure.
and they push themselves really hard. They outwork my mid-20-year-old clients.
Right.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like people come in and they're either a little bit intimidated or really inspired by them. So it's hard, to get. But I do have most of my clients. 80% of my clients are women, and they do cuss at me.
Yeah.
And
I love it.
And I'm okay with it because my
love
thing is you're not really here to like me. No one loves their workout. Period.
No.
Let me just tell you,
But they do love their trainers.
they love their trainers sometimes, but what they love is the results.
Exactly.
That's the
Exactly.
only, that's
Exactly.
the truth.
Eira knows this. I have a spinning instructor who he is beyond just a spinning instructor. He is literally like a life coach to me.
Right.
Everything he says it applies to all of life. When I'm going through challenges in life, I think about things he said in the classroom.
Right.
But I mean, that's why we titled our show what we did, because really sports is a metaphor for life. You can almost take anything, any situation in sports, and you can look at it through the lens of your life and see. I'm always thinking that when I'm out running, I'm like, why is it that when I'm out running, I can push myself that little bit more, but when a big challenge comes in my life, I'm like, I shrink and I go, ooh. Sorry, I'm like not trying to make this a therapy session, but it's amazing what you can,
but
what you learn from it.
But one of the things that he always says that always comes to me is like, I'll be in a really a challenge in life, and I always hear him say, the way you show up in this class is the way you show up in life.
Right.
So meaning, to push yourself beyond what you think is possible, to really show up for yourself.
And I think that
true.
can mean so many things because it's both show up and push yourself and be committed and be consistent.
And
So you
also
have the
let go.
patience to have the results come when it's supposed to. But at the same time, and I'll say it again, to not beat yourself up. Because I think one of the things that we see with all of us is that we let ourselves get to a place where we're overwhelmed. Because the minute we start to think about being fit we start to think about all the foods that we have to eat, and we have to think about all the monitors that we have to buy, and do you have the right shoes, and do you have all the right equipment. It's so easy to get to a place where you're overwhelmed by
Right.
all the different things you feel you have to have in place to be able to get your exercise taken care of, to become fit. At the end of the day, it's not that complicated.
But I think too that people need to realize that they need to make small changes.
Exactly.
And leaping changes never help
Yeah.
at
Right,
all.
right.
I also think that part of the problem that people there's a lot of instant gratification going on. I know we're all a little bit more mature in this room. I'll never say older.
No, we're not old.
Thank you.
Well, I
We're all a little
represent the
mature.
teen group.
But go ahead.
Right, she just turned 21, right?
But I think the problem is people see these 15, 30 second or now minute long videos on Instagram
Right.
of these quote unquote models or
Yeah.
Instagram athletes, and they're like, oh, I can do that. I had someone show a picture to me, and they're like, okay, so this girl's butt.
Yeah.
Do you think that this
It's
is
like going to the
real?
hairdresser. Can I have that
I know, right?
haircut,
That
please?
And I'm like, I have clients, and I'm like, I can't help you.
Yeah.
I've had potential clients that are like, I can't help you.
Yeah.
Like, you have unrealistic expectations.
Your
Right.
ass will never look like that.
No matter what we
I mean,
do.
unless you have a plastic
Implant.
surgeon, I know some that I could recommend. I can't
That's
do anything
hysterical.
for you. But I
Sure.
think that once people, it's kind of infectious. Once
Yeah.
they start to see results, or once you start to feel results or see results, then you want to continue with it. You want
Yeah.
to keep
Yeah.
it going.
Yeah.
But it's important to kind of have a little bit of discipline in the beginning, so that you can achieve just a small goal and
Yeah.
then stack to bigger goals.
So two
But
things.
again, I think like when it becomes a lifestyle, that it's beyond physical. Again,
Yeah.
it's not
Yes.
like now it's not just the way you look. I think the more you exercise, the more it makes you feel good inside.
Yeah.
100%.
And it becomes a lifestyle. It incorporates.
Right.
I mean,
all
to quote
aspects
one of my
wellness.
favorite things in the world is, exercise release endorphins. Endorphins make you happy.
Yes.
Happy women don't shoot their husbands.
No, they don't.
So believe it or not,
That's a good thing. Let's be happy. We don't want to shoot anyone.
this radio show does not endorse shooting.
No.
People, don't try this at home. Because I know Jarvis is going to give us this 5-minute warning, sooner than we think. I want to address two issues. One, I want to talk a little bit about those people who are either on a budget or don't feel like they want to work with a trainer.
Yeah.
You mentioned doing squats. Now, I've done, I've worked out at home and stuff like that, but I've always worried, and it's funny because I think I've even said it to you.
Yeah.
I don't think I'm doing it right, because when I, later on, the muscles that hurt aren't really the ones I think should be hurting and stuff like that. So I want to quickly address, what do you do if you're on a budget, you can't afford a trainer, you can't afford to go to a gym, and how do you make sure that you aren't hurting yourself or are not wasting those squats because you're not doing it right, so it's not having the right effect? And the other thing I wanted to come back to, Lisa, is some of the things that help our bodies recover that we can be doing. I know you do the cryogenics, but there are other things that we can be doing. So I want to quickly have those two discussions.
Okay.
Take it away.
Go ahead.
Go ahead. No.
Oh, so cryotherapy, it's a cold deep freeze. It's minus 256 degrees. It was invented by a Japanese doctor in the 1950s, and it was for rheumatoid arthritis. But over the years, they've found that it actually helps everything. It helps in recovery for everything, because what is arthritis? It's a lack of blood flow to a certain area. So when you go in, basically just in a snapshot, you're in there 3 minutes, and the blood goes only to your heart and to your brain, the two most vital organs. And the second you come out of there, there's an immediate blood rush, endorphins, everything going to every single part of your body. Because I've had actually IVs done before, and I'll come out and the blood's just spurting out of it. It's crazy to see the results. But I started doing cryotherapy 3 years ago for pain, because obviously over the years, you're going to have it. And being an athlete for 42 years, there is going to be some pain.
Mm-hmm.
And it's helped. I mean, I'm crazy about it. I go every day, but
What about, okay, so
Crazy.
that's, no, I know. I mean,
Icing.
No.
but I
cryotherapy
mean,
is
what
great.
else? What else can you
so-
do if you're not
yeah.
Fascia blasting.
fascia
Yes.
blasting?
Fascia blasting.
What is that?
Oh,
Oh.
foam rolling.
Foam rolling is
Yes.
one to do. There's actually
Tennis ball.
tennis
Yeah.
balls. The foam rolling is
Can,
awesome.
can you tell me more about fascia blasting? Because I just like
so
saying
good.
it, but go ahead.
You know what? I love saying it too. And Sam or Christina.
Sounds
He's
love
going,
this.
Jarvis is going, how do I spell fascia?
Yeah, I mean, you're gonna have to Google it.
Fascia.
So there it is. Okay.
Yeah.
So this was actually brought up to me by a couple of my clients.
Yeah.
Shouts out to Christine. And basically she talks about how, I don't even want to get into the technical terms of it, but basically you're breaking up the lactic acid and the tightness in the muscles that happens from working out, and it releases I hate these vocabulary words, but it releases the I can't even pronounce it. You know
that word.
That word.
Fasciitis.
Ligament. Yeah.
Blah, blah, blah.
It's,
Go ahead.
It's just good for you. That's
it's
all.
a great release of tension that builds up in your muscles from working out. So
Yeah.
fascia blasting is something.
But how do you do it? Do you have to buy something?
You can buy a foam roller.
Oh, like the
The
foam,
little
the
foam
big,
rollers
right,
work.
yeah.
They have the beaded ones, and they have the ones with little needles on it. There is
Yeah.
an actual thing called the fascia blaster that you can Google and look it up.
Yeah.
That you can use on your legs and your arms or whatever. Ice baths.
Yeah.
Although people
Ice
might hate
packs.
those ice packs, but ice baths.
Ice baths.
If you can
Yeah.
choose that.
I love
That's
the
what I do at
infrared
home.
sauna.
Yeah.
I find that it helps so much with
Yoga.
soreness.
Yeah, stretching.
Stretching.
Simple stretching.
Super stretchy.
And-
Always stretch before and after, right?
And
Always stretch
incorporating
before and after.
anti-inflammatory foods. And if you're going to do supplements, focusing on things,
Yes.
you don't have to go nuts with a bunch of stuff, but there are some very basics you can do with the
Absolutely.
branched chain amino acids and just eating foods that are going to be helping you in recovery. That's got the bromelain in it, like pineapple and things like that.
One
So-
of the things I suggest to clients before I start working them, especially if they are working on getting in shape and losing weight,
Yeah.
is immediately having a food
Chocolate.
allergy test. No.
Jarvis even laughed on that one. You couldn't hear him, but he was laughing.
Food allergy test,
Yeah.
which can help with inflammation, which can help with joint pain. That's one of the first. I had one client one of my first clients recently who came to me, and I was like, I want you to talk to a certified nutritionist, and I want you to get a food allergy test.
Yeah.
And as soon as she did that, I mean, she dropped massive amounts of weight
Wow.
within 3 weeks because she took out certain things from her diet, which she was eating all the time, which she didn't
Right.
realize was causing her to retain water
Yeah.
and causing her joint
Wow.
pain.
Exactly. But if you're on a budget, you don't have to make, again, instantly huge changes to your
No.
diet, but
Small
get good,
changes.
comfortable, small changes, but buy a really good, comfortable pair of shoes. And if nothing else, walk.
Go for a walk.
Take the stairs.
Absolutely.
You know, so many parks nowadays, at least I know in our neighborhoods, have these great little machines as
Yeah.
equipment that's been,
All
set
the
up, and you
parks.
can just, jump in and
You
do
and the
ellipticals
seniors.
and do me and the but
Push-ups,
whatever
squats,
tai
sit-ups.
chi,
I'm joking.
tai chi in the
Yeah.
park,
It works.
you do your jump squats. You can
Yeah.
do so much anywhere you are. You really don't have to.
You don't need equipment.
don't need a
You don't need
You don't
equipment, and
need
you
No,
don't
I
need
know
to spend
that.
tons of money.
And that's what I'm saying. I know
Push-ups.
that you don't. But again, even doing push-ups or like you're saying, doing squats,
Yeah.
like, and a quick answer, how do you make sure you're doing it correctly when you don't have somebody watching you, like you said, lift up your feet when you're doing a squat? It doesn't really make a difference. It doesn't
Go
help
online, bodybuilding.com.
Yeah.
you. Okay.
That's the first one I'll throw out for really quick. Bodybuilding.com has a huge amount of content with professionals, doctors,
Yeah.
talking about proper form and proper technique, and follow their instructions,
Yeah.
and you should be fine.
Okay.
Yep.
So we've been given the 3-minute warning. Can you believe it went by so quickly
That was so
today?
fast.
Yeah.
Super
Listen,
fast. We could keep going.
I want to thank everybody who tuned in, especially, again, my friends in London. We have more. You all know Yuda Yashroon. I've just given him a special
Yay.
call out
Happy
because
birthday,
he's
Yuda.
happy birthday. That's right. And some of your friends, our friend Jamie Hartwick as well,
Fantastic.
and some of
Welcome.
your friends have joined. Thank you so much for joining us. I want to thank all of you for coming in today. This was seriously one of the most fun sessions we've had. We've got to do it again
And
because
we'll
I don't
do a
even think
follow-up.
we haven't really scratched the surface. So
Yeah.
I hope you'll come back.
Yeah.
As always, I love thanking Jarvis because I don't know if you guys were watching him, but he you say one word and it goes
All
up
the
on the
graphics
screen.
go
It's
up.
amazing.
Yeah.
He's
I love
awesome. I didn't get a chance to say a little bit about the distillery. Eira and I are partners in a company called the Distillery Inc., and we work with athletes as they make their transition from the playing field to a life after sports. And that's why we love sports, and that's why we have the show, because we really do believe sports is a metaphor for life. And
Yeah.
there's so much that when we're sitting here talking about sports, we're really talking about everything in life. So thank you for watching us and always tuning in. You can hear us on iTunes as well. We have a YouTube channel, Distill It, a 360-degree view of life in sports. You can find us on Facebook Live, the UBN network. Our next show is going to be next week because we took a week off in between, so October 3rd. And like we said, we are going to come back to a very weighty but I think important topic about, when athletes use their platform to talk about social injustices, how does it affect the fans? How do we feel about it? And
Yeah.
we have 1 minute to go. So please join us next Tuesday, October 3rd. One quick tip from each of you as we leave.
Padded
Duane.
bras.
Just get up and move.
Just get up and move. Yeah, I would have to second that.
Yeah, just
Don't
do
beat
something
yourself
every
up.
day.
Beat somebody else up.
Yeah, I want to say that one. That's my one tip, because I am not the animals any of you are. Remember that any day you get up and do something, you are really doing a lot.
Yep.
And so
Success.
don't beat yourself up. It's success.
Yep.
Thank you all for joining us.
Thank you, everyone.
We'll see you next week.
Next time.
In the future, talk radio will actually educate, inspire, and make you think. The future is now. Topics and music that affect your life from Universal Broadcasting Network. Tune in at ubnradio.com.